Nobody in that chandelier-lit restaurant expected the billionaire at table 7 to go pale. But the moment Grant Whitaker looked up from his $50 million contract, he froze, because the pregnant waitress wobbling under a tray of glasses was his ex-wife. Grant had chosen the Sterling Room, a high-end spot where the steaks cost more than most people's weekly groceries. His investors were already seated. Pens were uncapped. The deal that would put his company on every headline was seconds away from being signed. Then a soft voice cut through the clink of silverware. "Excuse me, coming through." Grant's eyes locked onto the woman squeezing between tables. Elena Brooks' hair pulled back, cheeks hollow, moving carefully like every step hurt. Her belly sat high, unmistakable, 8 months pregnant, maybe more. She tried to hide the tremble in her hands, but the tray rattled anyway. A manager in a tight suit. Derek Sloan snatched a napkin off a chair and barked loud enough for half the room to hear, "If you can't keep up, you're gone." Pregnant or not, Elena flinched, not dramatic, just defeated. Grant stood so hard his chair scraped the marble floor. His partners stared. The room went quiet. "Elena," he said, like the name tasted like old wounds. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She only whispered, "Please, don't do this here." And that's when Grant noticed the way she shielded her stomach like she was protecting something from him. His voice dropped to a razor-thin line. "Is that baby mine?" Elena's eyes flicked to the dining room people pretending not to stare, phones half lifted under linen napkins. She swallowed hard, forcing her face into something flat and careful. "Grant," she said, voice barely above a breath, "don't." But he couldn't stop. Not after months, years of replaying the same scene like a bruise you keep pressing just to feel something. Because this wasn't how it ended. Not in his memory. In his memory, Elena stood in their kitchen with a suitcase by the door, her hands shaking as she slid divorce papers across the granite like she was sliding a knife. "I'm leaving," she'd said, for who Grant's laugh had come out sharp ugly. "Tell me I'm wrong." She looked past him, never into his eyes, and said the words that burned the deepest. "There's someone else. From Europe. He's offering me a life you never will." Grant remembered the way his chest locked up, the way he gripped the counter until his knuckles went white. "You're lying," he'd whispered. "I'm not." Her voice had cracked like glass. "Please sign." He signed. Not because he believed her, because he wanted her to look at him. To fight. To stay. She didn't. She walked out, and the door clicked shut with a sound that rewired his whole world. After that, Grant became the man people feared, the billionaire who didn't blink, didn't forgive, didn't lose. He buried himself in deals and numbers because numbers don't betray you. And every time he saw a couple laughing in public, he'd feel that old humiliation crawl up his throat. Now in the back of the Sterling Room, Elena stood inches away, pregnant, exhausted, and real. Grant's voice dropped rougher than he intended. "You told me you found someone else." Elena's jaw tightened. She looked like she was holding back a wave with her teeth. "I did what I had to do," she said. "That's not an answer." Her hand drifted to her belly again, instinctive, protective. And for the first time, Grant saw fear in her eyes. Not fear of him yelling, fear of the truth. She lifted her chin, forcing the lie out like it hurt to breathe. "It's not yours," Elena said. And Grant didn't believe her for a second. Elena turned to leave, but Derek Sloan was already there, blocking the hallway like a bouncer in a designer suit. He didn't lower his voice this time. He raised it. "Well, well," Derek sneered, loud enough for nearby tables to catch every word. "Look who decided to cause a scene. You think sympathy pays the bills? Get back to work. Or clock out and don't come back." Elena's shoulders tightened. She kept her hands near her belly, trying to breathe through it, trying to stay small. "I'm doing my job," she said, steady. But the tremor in her fingers betrayed her. Derek flicked his gaze to her stomach like it offended him. "Your job. You can barely carry a tray. One mistake and someone sues. Then what? You think I'm risking my restaurant because you made choices?" A couple at the bar glanced away. A fork clinked against a plate. The room pretended nothing was happening the way people do when the truth gets ugly. Elena took a step back. Her heel caught the edge of a service mat. The tray tilted, glasses sliding. Grant moved before he thought. His hand shot out, catching the tray like it weighed nothing. The glasses stopped just short of crashing. He set it down on a side table with surgical calm, then turned to Derek with a look that made the air feel thinner. "Say that again," Grant said quietly. Derek blinked, recognizing him fully now. His smirk faltered. "Mr. Whitaker, this is an employee matter." Grant stepped closer. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. "You're humiliating a pregnant woman in front of paying guests," he said. "In my presence." Derek tried to laugh it off, but it came out wrong. "She's unreliable. Grant cut him off with a small, sharp gesture. "What's your name?" "Derek Sloan." Grant nodded once, like he'd just filed a fact away. Then he looked past Derek toward the dining room, toward his waiting investors, toward the contract sitting untouched on crisp white linen. "You have two choices," Grant said. "You can apologize to Elena. Right now. Or you can explain to your owner why I'm about to make this place a very expensive memory." Elena's eyes widened. She grabbed Grant's sleeve, whispering like a warning. "Grant, don't please." But Grant didn't look at her. He didn't look away from Derek, because something inside him had snapped, and it wasn't the kind that bends back. Elena's fingers slipped off Grant's sleeve like she'd touched fire. She spun toward the back exit, pushing through the swinging kitchen door past sizzling pans, shouted orders, and the sharp smell of grease until she burst into the narrow alley behind the Sterling room. Cold air hit her face. The city noise dropped to a distant hum. She thought she could disappear. She was wrong. Grant followed fast, controlled footsteps echoing off brick. "Elena, stop," he called. But she kept moving, one hand on her belly, the other bracing against the wall when her breathing snagged. He caught up near the dumpster, blocking her path without touching her. Up close, he could see everything she'd tried to hide under restaurant lighting. The bruised exhaustion under her eyes, the cracked skin on her hands, the way she stood like her back was constantly on the edge of breaking. "Don't come closer," Elena warned, voice shaking. Grant's jaw clenched. "You don't get to run anymore." She let out a bitter laugh that didn't sound like laughter at all. "I didn't run. I survived." Grant's eyes dropped just for a second to the curve of her stomach, then back to her face, hard and pleading at the same time. "Tell me the truth," he said, "right here. No audience, no excuses." His voice lowered, razor thin. "Is that baby mine?" Elena's throat bobbed. For a heartbeat, she looked like she might crumble, like the weight of one honest sentence would crush her. Then she did what she'd learned to do best. She built a wall. Her chin lifted. Her eyes went flat. "No," she said quickly.